It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith, of course, joined by Alan Saunders, but we have a fellow podcaster joining us on the pod today, Steelers long snapper Christian Kuntz, joining the show. How are we doing, Christian?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks. Thank you for the intro. Football player first and podcaster.
Of course. I do want to ask you, everybody that we bring on here, the first thing that we ask them is about the intro music, the voiceover that we got. How do you feel about that intro music that we got?
I like that a lot. As a fellow Yinzer myself, I was into that. It had me hit tap to listen to, and I hit it, and I was like, okay, this is sick. Yeah,
there's like a full length version that we have as well that's like over 2 minutes long, but unfortunately we can't do a full 2 minutes of an intro. Otherwise, people probably click off. So
yeah, they would. But that was good. That was solid. I appreciated that.
There we go. Another thumbs up. I think we're batting 1,000 in terms of opinions on the music.
Everybody
as we should be. What's funny is the Fabo went to the van he went to the logo as opposed to the music. He was a big fan of that. So
I liked it. I was a fan of the van. The van was cool, but the music behind it was like, okay, this feels like Steelers football kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Christian, I want to kick off with a question, a topic that I actually had Pat Frymuth on my other podcast last week, and we talked about, and I wanted to kind of bring that conversation over here because I think you have a unique perspective on this. He was talking about, once he got drafted, it took him a little bit to feel comfortable growing into a leadership role on the team because, you kind of got to get to know the people and become ingrained in the city first and foremost. You already obviously had that. You grew up here. You were a fan first. So what unique perspective do you have in that transition from a fan of the team to a player on the team? And do you feel like you're in a unique position to maybe take on more of a leadership role at a position that typically you wouldn't see that happen?
Yeah, it is unique because I grew up a Steeler fan. So I hear about all I've heard, growing up about all the things and how, the standard is the standard and how Pittsburgh does things. And, then when I'm in there as a player, it's like what I heard and what I've heard about the Steelers and the organization has, everything has been true about Coach Tomlin, leader of men, all of that stuff. It's kind of crazy, but, I know going into my 5th year, but older on the age in the locker room. And it is kind of crazy that guys coming in are some of them 22, 20, 21, 22 years old. And it's just 9, 10 years older than guys. And it's definitely different, but I'm more of a lead by example. I mean, I feel like we have our leaders on the team and guys really look up to, guys like Cam and TJ and, now Aaron, Pat, guys that have been around. So more of a just kind of a professional, just keep it professional, just try to be a pro every day. I mean, and that's kind of how I feel like guys in my position would tend to lead, more than the vocal guys on the squad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Christian, I want to talk to you about something else that kind of, because you do have such a unique perspective of having been a fan of the team and now being on it. Obviously, the big news comes down Monday morning. The Steelers make this huge trade, sending out Minkah Fitzpatrick, getting Jalen Ramsey, getting Jonnu Smith. You can remember your time as a fan of this team being someone who would have been, going online and oh my gosh, did you see the Steelers news? How has the way you sort of consumed what happens to the team changed now that you're a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I find out last. I found out just how you guys found, probably how you guys found out. I found out someone texted me and said something, and then obviously on the internet it was on there, and that's kind of how I found out. And I feel like that's how majority of guys find out. We don't know anything, dude. This is like a business. So I mean, it is a business, and they're. I feel like people tend to forget that sometimes because players play for such a long time in a place, but you know it's crazy. It sucks to see a guy like Mink go too. Mink's one of the better dudes out there. You're a great teammate, leader. So that does suck. And in a friend, you're losing a friend that you played with for a couple years, and because when the 53 comes out, you're on a trip with those guys. You're with those guys for 18 weeks in a row, guaranteed more because of training camp. So like you're with those guys every day, and you grow relationships. So that part of it sucks, but at the end of the day, this is the business. It's crazy. It's a crazy business, and no one's really ever safe. No one's ever safe. I mean, they're trying to get rid of everybody. Next guy up.
Was that as surprising for you as it seemed to be for the rest of us? I mean, I saw the Jalen Ramsey acquisition first. I was like, okay, like I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen, but it wasn't like inconceivable. But then you see Minkah going out as part of a deal, and I mean, for me, I was like, wow, like I just didn't have even thought of that being possible. What's your perspective when something like that happens to the team? Something so shocking.
Yeah, I was shocked by that as well. I mean, we don't know anything. Obviously we see the rumors of who's a free agent on the, who's tweeting, like who the top free agents are, if the Steelers are shopping. I don't know how that gets out there, who finds that stuff out, but you see the rumors, and yeah, I was shocked. I was really shocked by that. I didn't think any of that was even possible. I didn't think that was a thing until it happened. Then we were like, holy heck, that was crazy.
Related, but not. I remember, just because we're talking about how players find out and stuff. Pat was in Dublin when they were doing like the promotional stuff. When we traded for DK. So I FaceTimed him, just like assuming that he had already gotten the news, and he's in this pub. And I tell him, hey, we just traded for DK Metcalf. And he just stands up, starts going nuts with all these Steelers fans that are around him, and starts ordering shots.
Yeah, he told me that when he found out he was in the bar in Dublin. That's hilarious.
Well, he probably didn't name drop me though, is the one that told him. He's been leaving that out when he's telling.
He's been leaving that out. You were the one that broke it to him.
I was the one that broke it to him, and nobody knows this. They just know that Pat was going nuts in a pub in Dublin buying drinks for people.
That's messed up. He needs to give you his credit. He needs to give you that credit right there.
Absolutely.
Would you have been the guy, Christian, as a Steelers fan, that would have been going nuts over a big trade, or would some finding out something like that about the team gotten you pumped up back in the day? And obviously, this one with Minkah is different because it's a little bit bittersweet, right? I'm sure you're excited about the new guys coming in, but you're losing someone who's a friend. That kind of move where it's just a pure addition, I think there's generally was met from a lot of excitement from the locker room. Is it the same as it was before for you, or how is it different?
I mean, I would say in my younger days when I was like probably really invested in the team as a fan, I would probably be really psyched up about that. But now I have a little different outlook on it, like as a grown up, but and especially being in there. So yeah, I mean, I was excited obviously when I saw we were acquiring Jalen Ramsey, and then I didn't see the Minkah stuff, and then that kind of dropped after that. I don't know if that was on purpose or what. I don't know. I kind of found out that we got Jalen Ramsey, and then like 10 minutes later, it said in compensation with Minkah's a part of that deal, and so it was kind of like, whoa, double whammy, shocked on that one, like, and it just, yeah, like I said, you lose a friend, but you're getting another Hall of Fame type player in Jalen Ramsey. So I mean, it's the business. It's crazy, and Mink's gonna do well wherever he's at. He's a true professional. He's unbelievable. So can't really say much bad about Minkah.
Was there a move that you can remember? Was there a move you can remember getting you real fired up as a young Steeler fan? Maybe when they drafted Ben, that would have been about in your wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, that was that probably was it, honestly. And then his every year that from there on out, probably for the next 10, 12 years until, I probably grew a little older, but we were at, pep rallies and stuff in our Steeler gear. Like, I think I had I was in a Roethlisberger jersey, I'm pretty sure, a Big Ben jersey. So yeah, there we go. It's exciting. These fans, we have the best fans in the world, dude. The Yinzers are crazy. I mean, they love football. They want to win just as bad guys in here in the locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so still speaking as a fan, I can attest to that. I have a question going back to last year. I believe it was last year. Maybe it was the previous year. Man, when you're at training camp. Was it 2 years ago? Okay. You were tasked with hauling a recliner for the specialists, and we were saying that's a sign of a good long snapper right there. You know, it can be kind of tough to evaluate long snapper play. That's the sign of what a good long snapper is. But on a serious note, I wanted to get your perspective on that, because it just seems like it's either like this long snapper is good or this long snapper is bad. What actually makes a good long snapper?
Man, that's a great question. Consistency, dude. Just staying consistent. Like you're never too high on the highs, never too low on the lows. I mean, you can string together a couple real good games, good first half of the season, and then, one bad snap could throw a guy into a frenzy and could go downhill. So just staying consistent. Like, it's never going to be perfect. Like, you got to accept that, but obviously you strive for perfection. But I think just the overall consistency of it, and being able to block as well as snapping, like being able to block and have the instincts to feel, different types of rushes that are coming. And just staying consistent. That's really all it is. And, I try to help with younger long snappers and stuff. And that's guys they get fixated on trying to like throw one perfect ball, like throw a perfect ball. Yeah, it's about throwing a perfect ball, but you got to throw it every time. It's got to be the same feeling every time.
Follow up on that. Do you feel like, okay, so like once the ball's in the air and you basically now become tasked with trying to be a part of this group to bring down whoever the ball carrier is, so on a punt, I should say, not necessarily field goal, becoming tasked with the job, bring down the ball carrier on a punt. Do you feel like you have an advantage in that as opposed to a lot of different long snappers because of your experience playing on the defensive side of the football prior?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like I do. I've kind of prided myself on being able to tackle and being, an athlete, as you know, Coach T likes to tell me to be an athlete sometimes. But yeah, I like to pride myself that I did play defense in college, and
Mhm.
I like running down the field. I like contact. I want to make tackles, but at the end of the day, like, if I'm making tackles, then our punt team's got issues. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are hunting out there. They're hungry for those tackles. Killebrew out there, Connor, Dirty Red from last year, Herb. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
Moon. Our whole punt team. Like, we have some savages, and they'll probably be pissed if I'm making tackles because they know those are theirs.
Yeah,
That tracks for sure. I remember one year at camp, I was doing the usual, here's so and so, first day camp moving in, and you had your golf clubs with you, and I remember there were some chirps from the audience about your club selection. Have you upgraded your golf clubs, and is your game any better as a result?
Yeah, I want to know who was chirping, because whoever was chirping, it was probably like her. It was probably Herbig or somebody. He's always ducking. He's always ducking me on the course. Herbig. He's always talking this big game and then ducking everybody. No, but I mean, my game has. I think my game's improved. I've played probably less rounds this year than I ever have, and I feel like I've played better. So golf's a game for after football. I like to get out, have fun. It- After football, we'll start practicing a little golf.
there we go. Um, Very early in the process here, and of course, this move didn't require losing a friend to acquire him. Aaron Rodgers, early returns. What have you made of him? Just his presence in the locker room and him as a person.
He's been cool. He's been cool as hell. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's just a normal dude. I don't know. I feel like people have said stuff about him in the media, and I've kind of painted a picture of him, but he's been nothing but cool. He seems like a genuine good dude. Like, the vibes have been great. He just wants to play football, and he's just another dude that he just wants to play ball, and he just happens to be really, really damn good at football. That's why he gets it. That's why he gets it. So, but yeah, he's been cool as hell, honestly.
They didn't need a long snapper out there in Malibu to go with the receivers and stuff.
You know what? I just saw some video Skoranek post. I'm kind of pissed about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have got that invite. I mean, Frazier's probably out there, but I mean, I'm kind of pissed. I'm gonna have to have some words with some people in there.
Well, you and Boz and Cam should get together and go somewhere nicer than Malibu. Is what then you can put your practice video from like the beach at Tahiti or something up on Instagram, and then everyone would be jealous that they didn't get your invite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our highlight video would just be Boz on the golf course.
I hear that over and over again, no matter who it is. If it circles back to golf, everybody immediately brings up Boz. He's that nice, huh?
Yeah, he's pretty good at golf. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be some mentality overlap from what it takes to be an NFL kicker to what you have to do to be good at golf.
100%. 100% there's correlation, and one shot, one kick at a time, one snap, one punt, everything. I feel like there's correlation in golf and everything the specialists do.
I
What's
want
the
to talk about.
difference?
Go ahead, Smitty.
All right. Well, I was just say, what's the difference in long snapping on a field goal attempt as opposed to a punt?
Obviously there's really no room for error on a field goal. Like you have to be very precise, and you're not like backpedaling to block. You're not really getting depth to block. You have to kind of snap and hold your ground. Even though they're not allowed to line up over you on a field goal, they could still
Mhm.
rush. Like they could still rush in the A gap, and you have to be able to snap, hold your ground, and obviously deliver a ball with 12 o'clock laces in a serviceable ball. And then on punt, punt, there's 8 guys to rush. There's sometimes 7 because they're double teaming a gunner or something, or sometimes a 6 box if they're double teaming both, if they're jamming both sides, double teaming. So like there's different looks where you can get as a snapper where you'll have a guy, or you might be free on a certain, if there's a 6 box look, you might be free, and then you can try to help your teammates get out from after the ball's kicked by picking. And there's a lot of mini games within the punt play in itself. Leverage how guys are in their stance, movement before the kick, like movement as the
Mhm.
snapper's head goes down. Like there's a lot that goes into the punt play in general that I don't think a lot of people really get the depth of it. They think we just kind of go out there, line up, snap, kick, punt, that's all. But like it's a whole chess game out there, between the rush unit and the punt protection team itself.
Yeah, it's actually really something I think people don't really understand the levels of complexity, and I think it's what makes like some of the guys the Steelers have that do those jobs, like guys like Miles and Skoranek and Red when he was here, who've like been they're so good at, like, they're doing the whole job of being a regular offense, defense, NFL player, and then they're so good at jumping into that as well. I think it's really kind of the secret sauce of the Steelers special teams unit is you have these guys that are so bought into that being like a part of their identity and who they are, that it makes your guys' practices are impressive. Like, I think people get the idea that like special teams practice is like the 4 special or 5, however many specials you have, just kind of like messing around for 10 minutes while everybody else kind of takes a break. But like Danny's high intensity, you guys have like a million calls and stuff and checks and things that are going on. It's a super intense, complicated part of the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's very detailed, and those guys. There's core special teamers all over the league, but we here in Pittsburgh, I truly think we have some of the best in the league. Skoranek, Killebrew, Dirty Red, Connor. People forget about Connor. Connor's a hell of a special teams player and a hell of a football player. He's a double-digit tackler on teams. I mean, we got core group of guys, and it is very detailed. You're right. I mean, it's way more. People think surface level stuff, but there's a lot more underneath that for sure.
Yeah, I think people think about like playing Madden. It's like you just pick punt. There's one option, It's like no, that's not how it works. There's a whole lot going on there. When did you? I mean, obviously you played some special teams in college. When did you kind of decide, and how did you decide on being a long snapper? How did you get here? From where, obviously, for the people that don't know, you played primarily as an edge rusher in college. How did you end up here? And did you ever like have any idea that this was a career path early on?
No idea that this was a career path early on. Walked on at Duquesne, ended up playing linebacker, having a good career, and didn't originally get picked up after the draft as a linebacker. Thought I had a chance to go as an undrafted free agent. Didn't get anything. And then, midway through training camp, New England called. They signed me as a linebacker. I was there for 24 hours. This is 2017. Practice, got cut. And honestly, like after that, we knew that I long snapped in college my 5th year, but I didn't really work on it because I thought I was going to get an undrafted free agent spot as a linebacker. Far fetched, but we thought it might have been possible. Um, yeah, and then after I got cut from New England, I came home and my agent and I we started working with a long snapping coach, and we just kind of went from the basics and learned long snapping. Went to a specialist combine camp in Arizona, got signed after probably like 4 months of working on it to Denver. Was very raw. Just they knew I was a linebacker trying to convert, and Tom McMahon took a chance on me. He's Vegas's special teams coordinator. And then yeah, I just got better and better and better, kept doing it, got cut from Denver, came home, was working, accepted a real job in Arizona, kept snapping, got a call, got signed to Jacksonville, cut from Jacksonville, picked up by Pittsburgh. They let me snap. They cut me. I went to the XFL and then back to Pittsburgh. So it's been crazy. And no, I could have never imagined that it would turn out like this. It's absolutely nuts.
That 2019 stint with the Steelers was wild. You got signed and played a preseason game like 3 days later, and you played linebacker in that game too. People don't remember this. You're the holder of a preseason NFL sack.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for bringing that up. I like to bring that up at least once a year in the locker room as well. Let everybody know about it, especially Coach. 2019 preseason sack quarter against Carolina.
There you go.
Love it.
Check the film.
Real quick. I know that we do want to dive into the podcast thing, but I just wanted to mention this because we keep it lighthearted on here and just have a lot of fun. But that genuinely is an awesome story of perseverance. To continue to stick with it, all the stops that you've had, and basically been told no cut, to still now end up carving out a career that you have going longer than the average NFL career. That's pretty sick. And I want to know what life lessons you've learned from that experience that you would tell somebody.
And I feel like that's one that Jesse on my podcast would ask me. He'd ask me like a deep question. That's good one. Dude, probably just I don't know. Like, don't let anyone tell you can't do it. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of kids that they might think that they're going to go pro at one thing or another, and they might just get discouraged because other kids are either that much better than them or they haven't put the work in. But just don't stop working. Just like it can happen. It can happen. If you're good enough, they're going to find you. Like I feel like that's my famous line. If you're good enough, they'll find you. It doesn't matter where you are.
There we go. You just brought
up.
Do you ever just? That's what we talked about, but,
yeah. Do you ever just pinch yourself and be like, did this really happen? Like this? I was looking. We did a story the other day. Obviously, you guys brought in a bunch of older guys, and the story was like, how many players over 30? And I was like, man, Christian's on this list. It's hard to believe he's been here this long already, and it's like, man, do you ever just say I still can't kind of believe this is my life?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, all the time I feel like that, and it's crazy because each year is the turnover in the NFL. NFL is not for long, and the turnover, the business we talked about, it's real. So there's new guys in there, new faces, new people every week during the season. I mean, practice squad, it's crazy. But yeah, it's surreal for me to be in this position, and just keep going.
You started the Christian Kuntz podcast. You spent a lot of time on the name, I can tell. The Christian Kuntz podcast. What have you liked about that experience? And what maybe more importantly, what have you learned about doing a podcast and how fun, challenging, difficult it can be?
Yeah. I didn't spend much time on the name. That was a simple one for me. That was what I wanted it called. I was doing it. It was easy. It was available, so I did it. No, it's been fun. It's been cool to just kind of get guys on, learn their story, like where they're from, get a different perspective on a guy outside the locker room, as of who he really is, as opposed to with a helmet on, I mean, or in the building, like at work. So it's been cool. It's definitely been challenging. I mean, doing it's not easy. People think, putting a mic in front of your face and carrying a conversation, it's easy and anyone could do it. Anybody can get on a podcast and make it big or whatever. But it's hard. It's a lot of work, and but it's been good. It's been fun. Like I said, it's cool to get the teammates on and really chop it up with them and learn about where they're from, who raised them, what like the offers they've had, the combine, how was their combine experience, draft pick, who talked to them from the Steelers. It's been a cool experience. So just trying to expand on that and keep going with it.
In 2 weeks, it'll be 1 year since you guys did the first episode of it. Were you like scrolling through, came across our podcast? You're like, screw these guys. I want to do it better than these guys. Or like, how did the whole thing come about?
No, I did. I just honestly, I was on Cam's, not just football, and he kept, having me on as a guest, and he kind of pushed me into starting my own. And then the guys on my show, Trey and Vinny and Jesse, they kind of pushed me to have my own after I went on their show, and we just kind of randomly started it, and it's been fun. It's been fun, and we're just gonna keep going and see where it gets to.
Do you see that as something you want to keep doing after football? You like it?
Yeah. I mean, if I can continue to have the guests on that I've had on, and continue to record in the studio that I do, which has been an awesome place out in Wexford. And yeah, it's definitely something that I definitely see myself continuing to do.
Was
there a teammate or maybe someone that's not a teammate that came on that you were surprised by? Like maybe someone who's like quiet in the locker room, and then you got them on the podcast and they were like, a real, or maybe the other way, just someone who you couldn't get to answer a question when normally they won't shut up.
I mean, I've had a lot. I feel like I've had a lot on the first year. I remember a couple of my first guests. We didn't, obviously, when you first start doing it, you don't feel like you're not very good at how to structure the conversation, whatever it might be. And then I look back at those episodes, I'm like, oh, I got to get those guys back on to show them like how much better it's gotten. One of my favorites is probably E-Rob. E-Rob was great on there. Like just his story and his mindset, his mentality. Like E-Rob's a bad dude. Like that's a bad man. So he was probably one of my favorite ones. I mean, they're all really good, dude. I feel like we leave the studio after every episode and we're like that's the best episode. Like seriously, we do, because like we had Joey on. Joey was great. Herb. I mean, they were all on. Boz was on. Everybody was on. They've all been great. Like seriously, everyone. We all look at each other. We're like, dude, that was sick. That was good.
That's awesome.
I'm heartbroken right now.
Yeah, E-Rob's been here too. We're big fans. Gonna miss him. Hope he's doing well. In Vegas, actually, I was doing the little like immaculate grid where you got to name like players. Like you got to like, it's like a game. You got to find a guy who played for the whatever and whatever. And one of the answers today was Dolphins and Patriots. And I was like, yeah, it's my guy right there.
Yeah.
You had something, Smitty. Go ahead.
It was basically the same thing that you were going to ask.
Oh,
so
Roger.
And honestly, Christian kind of alluded to it even more as he was diving into the answer there, because I was going to say, like, not to single anyone out, but if there was any conversation that you walked away from as like your favorite, not necessarily even a guest, maybe like a topic that got brought up on a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, which one would it be you're asking?
Yeah, like your favorite conversation that you've had on a podcast. So maybe not a guest specifically, but like a topic that came of it.
I mean, I guess I didn't even mention Calvin came on after he returned the punt, the 80-some yard return punt. Herb came on after he had the strip sack or fumble recovery in Cincy. So those two kind of stick out because like it was so fresh, like that had just happened, and like we were talking to him about the play, what Calvin saw, what Herb saw, like, and it was the same week, so that was like those two stick out to me just because how fresh it was in my mind at that point.
Yeah. Alan, I don't know. You got anything else?
Oh, I think that's it, man. Christian, this was a great episode. I feel very cool. We can say it now. This is a great episode. And we really appreciate you coming on. You're an awesome guy to talk to in the locker room, and I think you are living the dream of every Steelers fan out there that wishes, that thinks they can do it someday, or wishes they could have done it one day. And I think you're sort of, the way you fit in that role is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and Chris and I are only 1 year apart, so it's like perfect. So
yeah, Zach,
this is literally me. What I hope to do.
We could train you to snap. You could do it. Anybody,
all right, I'll be out there.
Come on, you could do it.
Right. You know what? Hey, if you show up to Pat's camp that he's now doing on July 20th, you and I can just work off on the side on long snap, and while he's running the rest of this camp, they're gonna be like, "What's happening here?"
That's fine. Then you could show up to work one day. They won't even know the difference.
Something tells me they will. But either way,
Alec could show you where my locker is. They won't even know the difference. Right to it. Put your head down. Put your hood up.
I love
it. He'll be doing it. We're over time, but I'll tell the story. I was covering the Pirates back in the day, and there was one of the equipment guys was helping a pitcher with his uniform. He had like a problem where he didn't like the fit in like his armpit. They were like tailoring the uniform for him. And he was sitting in the guy's locker, working on the uniform, but he was sitting in his locker while I was working on the uniform for him. And it was like the first weekend of the season or something. And some media member who, I don't know, didn't know the locker room very well or whatever, came over and like tried to interview the guy like he was the pitcher sitting in the locker. So Smitty could be out there giving quotes as Christian Kuntz. You may want to rethink that.
Yeah.
Hey,
actually, I rethink that already.
Listen, you can ask anybody.
He did break the news.
I would not break
the news to Pat.
That's what honestly, that is where I wanted to leave off before we got out of here. Was I need you to badger him about this. I'm very upset that no one knows that I'm the one. That's
very important things to take away from this podcast. Smitty broke the DK Metcalf trade to Pat, and Christian Kuntz has an NFL preseason sack. If you remember two things from this, remember those two things.
Yeah,
but specifically the sack.
Yeah, that's more important. Christian, before we jump out of here, you can plug the podcast, tell the people where they could find you, get the podcast, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just the Christian Kuntz podcast. It's on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, I think, Apple Music. We got, an Instagram page in my bio. You can click on the Christian Kuntz pod, search the videos, like, share, subscribe, retweet. See, I got good at saying all that stuff.
There you go. He sounds like a podcaster right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, boys.
Yeah, there we go. And Alan, of course, tell the people they can find you.
Yeah, Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now, the site's account, SteelersNow.com. Sign up for SN Plus. You get access to members-only content. Our members-only live stream is coming up the week before training camp, so you don't want to miss that. Also, ad-free reading, SteelersNow.com. And anyone can subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. That's free. It really helps us grow the content as we keep trying to expand and reach a greater audience. We have 15,974 subscribers. Christian, we play a little game with our subscriber count.
It's now 76.
Oh, it's 76. Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. We play a little game with our subscriber count. We shout out a Steelers player with the uniform number, the last two digits, 76. Man, I'll go old school. Kevin Henry. I was 78, right? No.
Yes. Was it 78? Yeah, I was 78. I was 78.
I mean, Troy right now is 76. Chooks. There you go. That's a good one.
I'm going Chris Hoke.
There you go.
Go Cougs.
Chris Hokey. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, he was 76.
Yep.
That is a good one.
Throwing it back to Christian and childhood.
That's a good one. Alan, did you have to read all that off? You definitely have a piece of paper and you read all
that. No. In fact, yesterday was our 500th episode, and I tripped over it for the first time in months and months. And you would think a 500 of these, I would have it down by now, but every once in a while I stumble over it. But no, I don't read it.
That was very good. Well, I appreciate you boys having me on. Thank you.
Thanks, Christian.
And of course, you can find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. For Alan, Christian, myself, thanks for jumping in and taking another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.